What's up, gang? Todd Brown here, back 2 days in a row. Can you believe it? With a video update for you. And so yesterday I shared a video with you about two of the tools that we use during the examination stage of the E5 method. And we talked a little bit about the promise exposure spectrum, and we talked about the prospect awareness pyramid. You could probably find the video link somewhere beneath this or in the thread, or maybe I'll include a link. And we dove into the prospect awareness pyramid, and I talked about the difference between the different levels of awareness, what it means when somebody is at the unaware level, what it means when they're at the problem aware, solution aware, product aware, all of that kind of stuff. And I explained that the type of message that you use differs based on which level of awareness you're targeting. I also talked about the fact that your market is made up of all of those 5 levels of awareness. Well, what I want to do for you today is I want to show you an example, a real world example from a campaign that I created for the unaware segment, using what I would call more of an indirect lead. And I want to show you how this message, this E5 campaign, worked not only for the unaware segment, but for all of the segments above, even for the folks in the higher levels of awareness, the highest levels of awareness. And so let's go over to the computer and I'm going to walk you through this now. All right, so we're back here looking at the prospect awareness pyramid. I'm going to bring you over to a Keynote file in just a second to show you this campaign, but I want to remind you of what it is that I said in the prior video, and that is that the big money is made when you are targeting folks on the lower levels of awareness. And this is why we stay in this range. And I explained that when you create a campaign for a particular level, like product aware, it will work for that level and every level above it, which is why when we target folks, down here, let's just say, right, we get a monster universe, a much bigger universe of individuals. And that's why we've got such a bigger opportunity for scale. Now, with that said, I want to talk to you about a promotion that I put together a number of years ago. Now, this was a promotion for a software application company that we started. It's since been acquired, so I no longer own it. We no longer have anything to do with this particular product. It's phenomenal, but I wanted a tracking application to do everything that I know we need to do for tracking. And so I created we created an application called Conversion Fly, still in existence today, still a great application from what I understand today. But now here is the thing, and this is what I want you to get. My aim was to market this tracking application, right? This tracking software, right? And now, of course, we know, looking at the prospect awareness pyramid, there are some people that are looking for a tracking application, right? They are in the product aware stage. There are people that, and so they may be looking for a particular application. They may be in the solution aware stage and comparing a variety of different options that they have for getting their marketing metrics. Then you've got people in the problem aware stage at the time, right? These were marketers, entrepreneurs, individuals that didn't know how to make marketing decisions. They didn't understand the numbers of their business. They didn't understand how to collect the numbers. They weren't necessarily in the market at the time for a tracking application. But they knew that they had an issue revolving around data, numbers, decision-making, that sort of thing. And then you had people in the completely unaware stage. Those were the folks that they weren't in the market for a tracking application. They weren't even thinking about a tracking application. They weren't even necessarily thinking about their numbers, their metrics, their data, decision-making, or anything like that. I knew if I created a marketing campaign that was all about what made this tracking application, Conversion Fly, better than all the others, I would be targeting a small segment of the market. I'd be targeting folks, at the product aware, solution aware stage and up, missing out on in a huge chunk of the market, the biggest chunk of the market. I knew that I had the opportunity to educate the market on the value of numbers, data, and then therefore tracking the right way with the right tool. And that would give me the ability to attract a monster volume of people, which we did. And so I want to show you something here. And so this is, I couldn't find the original slides from the original campaign, but these are the slides from a webinar version that I did. And we had this thing was, right? So now what I want you to keep in mind here is on the original campaign, there was no Conversion Fly logo on there or anything like that. And it was all about this idea of, you know, flawless funnel scaling. That's what this webinar was all about. What the savviest marketers online know and do to consistently engineer these profitable marketing campaigns that average marketers do not. And what I want to show you is that, right? So number one, I did not start out talking about the tracking application. I did not start out talking about tracking itself. What I started talking about was, why is it that average marketers, despite understanding the importance of traffic and conversion and whatnot, that they still continue to struggle to get even a single marketing campaign working? Right. And so now you could see I'm going into in this little webinar here, in this example, I'm going into education-based marketing. I'm using EBM content, right? And just pay attention to that as I go through. And I'm not going to cover all these slides, obviously, but I want you to see that I'm educating the prospect now, right? And so I start by talking about the missing ingredient is in the traffic and conversion equation. And then I go on to, right, so who am I? The whole credibility thing. And then I say, right, why is it that the average marketers, knowing the poor, why do they still struggle, right? What do you think is the missing piece from the simple traffic and conversion equation that's taught to marketers? And so let me see here. Let's go down. It's not sexy. It's not hot. It's not the cool part of the business. What's the missing ingredient? Well, it's having objective and scientific numbers, meaning in order to create successful marketing campaigns, you can't make decisions based on hunches, assumptions. So now I'm educating about the difference between the pros use objective data and the average use subjective assumptions, guesses, feelings, opinions, right? And so I go through and now I'm building this case around the fact that the pros, the folks that excel in marketing, right? And this is obviously all 100% accurate, use objective data, right? And so now what I'm doing here in this little chunk, right, is I'm building the argument, I'm building the case for why you want objective data. I'm not talking about tracking yet. I'm not talking about a tracking application. I'm not talking about what you want to track. I'm first building the case, building the argument for objective data, right? And so all of this is just about, with science, simple metrics, data, simple numbers. You don't need to be good at math. You don't have to do crazy calculations. We're not talking about that. Simple numbers, right? It makes it very black and white for you. It becomes easy and profitable for you to make marketing decisions, right? And that's how and why the savvy marketers are able to make online marketing look so simple. See, what I knew I needed to do, right? Understand that I'm talking to folks that were completely unaware of their need for a better tracking application. I'm still talking to people in my market that are interested in growing a more successful business, growing, implementing, executing better marketing, right? But they're not, they are unaware of the need for a better tracking application. They're unaware of a need for better numbers, right? And so I'm leading them through this, right? So ultimately, I'm leading them through these levels of awareness by showing them that if you're not making your decisions right now with objective data, you have a problem, right? Because that's what's separating you from the best of the best. And so then we go back here and let's do this over here. And so then I introduced this idea of the difference between being a mathematical marketer and an assumption marketer, right? And basically what I'm doing here is I'm creating this contrast between the marketers that use objective data and the marketers that don't, that use, the marketers that use objective data and the marketers that use subjective feelings, opinions, and assumptions. And so now I'm going through and I'm proving this case, right? I'm presenting an airtight, rock solid case to establish that you want to be a mathematical marketer, right? And so all of this is, right, when you operate as a mathematical marketer, it doesn't take wild creativity, talent, skill, because as a mathematical marketer, numbers simply tell you what to do, what's broken, what to fix, what to improve, how to make more money, all of that stuff. Yet for the online marketers not tracking everything in their marketing, right, they have no idea how they can expect to be successful, what to do, what to say, because they're using subjective feelings, opinions, all that. You can't confidently improve anything. You don't have the ability to objectively improve your stuff. Being an assumption marketer is like being an investor and not tracking your investments. Imagine trying to invest in the stock market. And so I'm building this case now for metrics, and I'm building this case for, right, having the right tracking to give you the those metrics, right? And so you could see as I go through here, right, without tracking and measuring the performance of different pieces, how can those investors know if and when they need to change their investment strategy, if and when they need to adjust a stock, if and when some piece of their method is off the mark, they can't, right? The same holds true for assumption marketers here if you're not tracking, right? And so the answer to any and every traffic or conversion problem you're having is found within your marketing numbers. Now, keep in mind, I just want to stop for 1 second, give you some commentary, right? I'm still not talking about Conversion Fly. I'm still not talking about a tracking application. I'm still not treating these people as if they are higher levels of awareness, as if they're already in the market for a tracking application. I'm building the case. I'm building the reasoning behind why they should want the right tracking application. And so if you already understand the importance of traffic and conversion, and you're already using the common mark, but you're still struggling, right? Odds are you have a simple numbers problem. Step one, so step number one, what is this for you in joining the club of successful mathematical marketers? Properly tracking. So step one, now I'm teaching. Step one, properly tracking all your marketing so you can get the simple numbers, blah, blah, blah. And what you want, now I'm going to understand. Now I'm going into what does it mean to have proper tracking, right? And understand that really what I'm doing is I'm setting up the sale for Conversion Fly, because I'm setting the frame for what type of tracking. Now that they understand they should be using numbers, objective data, now I'm going to show them, okay, in order to do that, this is the type of tracking that you need. And of course, I'm framing it and setting it up so that the perfect fulfillment of what it is that I'm about to educate them on is Conversion Fly. And so, right, and this is perfectly the E5 method at play. This is the heart of the E5 method, this valuable education that leads folks to want your thing before you ever even talk about it. And so, right, complete campaign tracking. Now, it differs tremendously from Google Analytics, and here's why, right? And blah, blah, blah. I give some other criteria for what you don't want. And then now I'm going into, in the webinar, I go into, right? So I made the decision to just hire an entire development team. And here I go into Conversion Fly, right? But in the full-blown campaign, before I get here, right? So before I get to this part, I actually went much deeper into these are the type of metrics that you want. These are the type of decisions that you'll be able to make with these particular metrics. In order to get these metrics, this is the type of tracking that you want. Still not talking about Conversion Fly, right? I'm just educating on, now that you know you need objective data, now that you know, right, you need the right tracking, this is the criteria for the type of tracking you want, right? These are the type of numbers that type of tracking will give you. These are the type of decisions that you'll then be able to make when you have that type of tracking, the right type of tracking in place, giving you those objective numbers. And then I show them, and that's why, right, you can go from struggling to successful. That's the difference between the most successful marketers and the average, right? And so what I did was I had an application created, blah, blah, blah. And then I go into Conversion Fly, right? And then I present the offer, really, if you will. And so I'm sharing all this with you because I want you to understand that that the type of message that you use, right, when you are targeting the lower levels of awareness is different from the higher levels of awareness. And you absolutely can do this, right? The difference, though, is that if we were targeting the higher levels of awareness, I would have started out talking about tracking applications, the tracking application, the whole hook, the idea behind the campaign would have been something around, how to choose the best tracking application or something like that. But I did not want to do that because I didn't want to go after a tiny segment of the market. That is how you can create a message that leads people from this completely unaware, right? In this case, we signed up tons of people that prior to being exposed to our marketing campaign, they weren't even thinking about a tracking application. They weren't even in the market for a tracking application. They didn't even know they had a tracking problem, right? They weren't seeking out information on solving a tracking related issue. They were completely unaware. And then we led them through an education-based process to show them, right, what they're missing, why they're missing it, what it's doing to their business, what they need, right? And then we gave them the solution that was the perfect fulfillment of what they need, right? So we led folks to, before I went into the offer for Conversion Fly, folks were at the point where they were saying, I get it. I understand it. I understand I'm missing the objective data. I understand that my tracking isn't properly in place, and nor do I have the right tracking. I understand exactly what it is that I need in terms of the type of tracking and the type of tracking application. Thank you so much, right, for educating me. But, right, if I just stopped there, they would have said, like, well, where do I go to get this kind of application? Like, this sounds awesome. I get it. I see it. I want it, right? Where do I go? So when we introduced Conversion Fly, that's why people were so grateful and excited to buy, because we perfectly set up the sale for Conversion Fly with our education-based message, with our E5 campaign. That's the power and beauty of the E5 method. And so let me just say this to close out this little video, not to make this a commercial, but if you have not gone through the E5 coaching program yet, you are crazy. You're missing out on the single most powerful marketing model, marketing method there is for acquiring new customers, clients, subscribers, students. And so go to, if you're interested and you want to talk to a member of my team to learn more about how this works, how we can help you with this program, go to Learn from Todd, schedule a time, and they'll give you all the details. It's not a hardcore sales pitch or anything like that. They'll just give you the details of how we can help you if you want that additional help with the E5 coaching experience. And so with that, hope this has been helpful. Talk to you guys soon.